For a good part of today, I watched the Trump defense team in their attempt to, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're trying to do. I think the most comedy I've seen in a long time is this keyhole peeper Ken Starr. Whoa. What the hell would they have somebody defending Trump who was he was Jeffrey Epstein's defense team, is that right? And he would not prosecute people at the university where he was teaching before he was run out who were accused of sexual assault against other students. I mean, Ken Starr has got to be America's top pervert. It's unbelievable to watch this group of miscreants and sexual predator accomplices that the Trump team is putting out there as his defense. I mean, it's just madness. Just total madness, especially in light of the Bolton revelation that came over the weekend that apparently, I don't know, I haven't seen the actual text of what Bolton wrote, but people who have, and I'll get to that a little bit in a moment, people who have seen the advanced copies said that I mean, in just a few words, although it's longer than that, in just a few words, Bolton totally demolishes every single lie that Trump and every one of his apologists and his defense team have been putting out there, Trump, for 2 years. Read the transcript. Fuck the transcript. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But from what I heard today with his so-called defense team, they're still saying there was no quid pro quo, even though Bolton, who worked for this miscreant son of a bitch for 17 months as his national security advisor, Bolton was there. And according to what's being published about the book, there's no question that Trump said, in Mike Pompeo terms, when the fucker gives us the investigation announcement, we'll give the fucker the money. I say in Pompeo terms because he unloaded this good Christian man, Mike Pompeo, who normally only gives interviews to Christian evangelical media or these little suckasses on Fox who like to cluster around him and stroke his bloated body for him, right? And he made the mistake of going on NPR where there was a real reporter, not one of the suckasses over at the Fox sewer, but a real reporter. I'll get to that in a minute, too. But the good Christians, every fucking one of these people, as I've been saying for 3 years, I know you're getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of it. I really am. But this is the major issue facing us right now. If this rat fucking Trump is not removed from office, I'm not talking about the election. There's too many months between now and then where this son of a bitch can do untold damage. And Mike Pence is barely an improvement. Mike Pence is just a little twit. He's a Christian twit. He doesn't have the balls the size of classroom globes like Trump does, you know. All Pence will do is try to further the Christian agenda. And there'll be nobody for Pence to stare at. But Pence would be better than Trump in terms of a placeholder until this whole Republican machine can just be crashed up against a cliff somewhere. I don't know how, this is a dumb statement on my part, but I'll say it. I don't know how these Republican senators at this point could possibly vote to acquit this evil son of a bitch, Trump. I don't know how they could do it. I know the Christians among them, which is the vast majority of these white male thugs, the Christian white male thugs, they don't give a fuck about lies and deception and grabbing women by their genitals and being a whore-mastering son of a bitch and a cheat and a liar and a thief and having no honor, no moral center, no ethical behavior. They don't care about that. That's all regarding Trump. But it also is regarding them. Look at Mitch McConnell, married to an agent of the Chinese government who spies on this country every fucking time Mitch McConnell takes a dump. Elaine Chao is writing back to her handlers in China exactly what's going on. How do you retain your sanity, truth seeker? I have to tell you, I'm having trouble retaining mine. Peter Baker says, so will this be the turning point or just another disclosure that validates his critics without changing their minds? Will it be another smoking gun or another Access Hollywood moment? Baker writes, the news of Mr. Bolton's account in an unpublished book, first reported by the New York Times, could hardly come at a worse time for Mr. Trump, just as his lawyers have opened his defense on the Senate floor, and days before the senators will vote on whether to call witnesses like Mr. Bolton. Until now, Trump seemed assured not only of acquittal, but he appeared likely, because he's a Nazi fucker, to force, they don't want their heads on a pike, these Christian white male senators to fend off the testimony of any more of these goddamn witnesses. We don't need that. We don't need the truth. We're Christian. We're white. We're male. We're conservative. But the pressure on the handful of Republican senators who had been wavering on calling witnesses will now increase exponentially, and the president's defense has suddenly been thrown into disarray. Well, you wouldn't know that if you watched this circle jerk by these Trump defenders this morning or this afternoon, starting with Ken Starr. And the Jew who is now a Christian got thrown out of Judaism. What's his name? Yeah, Jay Sekulow. And this whole menagerie of creepy-looking fuckers who worked in the White House, their assistant legal something or others for Donald Trump. How in the fuck can they build a defense for this cretinous bastard? How do they do it? Well, it's very simple. They have no center. They have no moral core. There is nothing ethical about them. There is nothing respectful about them. They hate the United States. Make America great again, my ass. They hate the United States. They hate people of color. They hate Jews. They hate Muslims. They hate immigrants. They hate everybody. Their mommies and daddies probably beat the shit out of them when they were kids, or told them if they didn't do exactly what mommy and daddy said, you'll burn in hell forever. And there they are defending this creepy fucker. Peter Baker writes, but the pressure on the handful of Republican senators who had been wavering on calling witnesses will now increase. When Trump's lawyers addressed the Senate Monday afternoon, which was earlier today, They will face the challenge of explaining how his own former top aide says Trump did exactly what they say he did not do. Or they'll try to ignore it altogether. What I saw in the bit that I watched when Trump's gang of assholes tried to defend him this afternoon, they're just ignoring it. They keep saying there was no connection. They keep saying it, even though the national security advisor, Jesus fucking Christ, the guy who was there for 17 months, who finally got the fuck out, he said, hey, I don't want any part of this drug deal.
Fire me. Hurry up.
Oh, my God.
Fire me quick.
And then there's this. Peter Baker writes this. What's perhaps even more shocking is that the White House knew what Mr. Bolton had to say at least as far back as December 30th when he sent his manuscript to the National Security Council for standard pre-publication review to ensure that no classified information would be released. Yet the Trump fuckers continue to promote a complete lie, a completely opposite narrative. And you know why? Because they understand the core of their support. These brain-dead, mouth-breathing, Fox sewer-watching assholes who show up by the thousands to cheer this ignorant son of a bitch on because they themselves are ignorant fuckers. And you know what? You and I, for the time being, have to share this country with them. How does that grab you? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.